Hi, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to be looking at a game by the name of Family Inc. This is put out in Europe by Piatnik, the Austrian publisher. The game does not have English rules in the box, I should note, but it does have very simple rules and no language dependent components. The game is designed by Reiner Knizia, probably one of the most famous board game designers, and it plays in about 10 or 15 minutes. It's a very light filler game, a press your luck filler game. Plays between 2 and 7 players. The box says ages 8 and up, and I think you might even be able to go lower than that because it has very simple decisions. I'll take a few minutes to show you how it plays. You won't even need a rule book after watching it, I would imagine. And then I'll come back and give you my thoughts on the game. At the start of Family Inc., you're going to be spreading out these 130 poker chips that the game comes with. These are valued from 1 to 10 into the center of the table, face down. And you'll have between 2 to 7 players. One of those players will be chosen to start randomly. First player is going to take chips from the center, and these are, like I said, valued from 1 to 10, and they could choose to, after drawing each chip, decide to stop or decide to press on. The reason why they might choose to press on is because they'll accrue more points in front of them, which won't be scored unless they are still sitting in front of them at the start of their next turn. The reason why they might choose to stop is because if ever they draw the same value chip from the pool, they will bust and lose all of the chips that they've collected that turn. There are, like I said, values from 1 through 5 and 6 through 10. There's slightly more of the 1 through 5s than 6 through 10, so this player might choose to draw again. At this point, they will have busted. You can see they have 2 1s in front of them. So these will go out of the game, essentially only coming back in when this entire pile is depleted. But since that player busted with only drawing 3 chips, if they bust on their first 3 draws, they're going to get one of these diamonds. If ever a player gets 3 of these diamonds, they'll be able to turn them in immediately for 50 points. So that's a consolation prize. But in any case, that would be the end of this blue player's turn. And that would be the next player's turn. So the red over here, they might draw an 8, a 2, a 9. And maybe they would be happy with that number of points in front of them, so they would choose to stop. And it would be the yellow player's turn over here. And now they could draw. They could draw a 2, a 7, a 3. And now maybe they would choose to stop. And what happens in this game is any value that you stop with successfully that has other players have in front of them, you get to take all of the chips in front of them. So now this player stole the 2 from this player, and if it's still in front of them when it comes back around, they'll score 4 points for the 2 chips. Now it'll be this player's turn. They might draw 1, 3. We'll just say they flip that one up. And now they've busted. But again, since they've busted now with 4 chips on their 4th draw, they do not get a diamond. So these will just be discarded. So now this player here, they have the 8 and the 9 in front of them. That's 17 points. They'll score that. And this is basically how the game is going to proceed. So they'll take their normal turn. Draw, draw, draw. Maybe they'll go one more. Maybe they'll choose to stop. So here they have a 3 and this player has a 3, so they'll steal that. And now it would be this player's turn to score the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points in front of them. So the yellow player would get 11 points. So the game's going to go on in this fashion until one player hits 100 points, and then the game will end immediately. So there's no equal number of turns. Essentially, the first player has a disadvantage because they don't have any possible chips to steal. So as soon as a player gets 100 points, whether it's from scoring the chips in front of them or from turning in 3 diamonds for 50 points, they will be the winner. Alright, so that is Family Inc. And as you can see, this is an exceedingly simple game. And yet, I think that it's one that's really worth looking into. It is a little bit hard to get if you're living in the United States like I do. And like I said, there is no English rule book included in the game, so that is a consideration, I suppose. But it's as simple as you could hope a game of this length to be. And yet it's very entertaining. Something that I know is that the game bears a lot of similarities to another game from the same designer by the name of Cheeky Monkey. This has been put out in many versions over the years. This is a similar game where in this game you get a bag and you're just going to be pulling chips from that with animals on them. This game makes it a little bit less abstract in a way because you're just pulling numbers and it's a mathy exercise, but I think that the box that shows a bunch of gangsters at a casino. I think the theme works probably better here than it does in Cheeky Monkey. And more importantly, I think that this game has more excitement in it, even though both games play in about 15 minutes or so. Here the swings are bigger. The fact that you could bust and just come from behind by turning in those diamonds is terrific, and the fact that you're stealing so many chips potentially from other players is makes for exciting terms. If a player has a huge cache of chips in front of them, it might be in your interest to just keep pulling, even though you're risking busting just to keep them from winning or to keep them from having a big score. There is some element of that in Cheeky Monkey. You could steal the top tile on anybody's pile of chips that they have in front of them, but here the swings are much more dramatic because when you steal somebody's fives, you steal all of their fives at once. So, you know, you could really swing the game from one round to the next. So it makes everybody interested as you're creeping up to that 100-point sudden death mark where the game just ends, and it's I think entertaining. And what's surprising is even though the game has so many large swings of luck, it does seem to end out with scores relatively close. There might be a player or two who are lagging behind near the end of the game, but there'll usually be more than one player in contention. Of course, that could change if a player, you know, all of a sudden gets 50 points from turning in the gems. But I would say that this essentially, I think, would replace Cheeky Monkey for me. Cheeky Monkey was a good game, and it has its place as a filler, and it's one that I think, you know, children like a lot, and, you know, it's one of Knizia's like solid designs. Yet this one really does do a lot of what Cheeky Monkey does with more entertainment value in the same amount of time. If I had any complaints, I think my only real complaint would be that, you know, I wish that these were actual poker chips as opposed to cardboard tiles, but they certainly don't detract from the game. It just would have gone that extra mile. So those are my thoughts on Family Inc., a recommended light family game, a 15-minute filler that people could easily jump in and out of, and one that I think is worth seeking out. I'm not sure if it's going to have American distribution, but it was easily importable for me. So those are my thoughts, and thank you for watching.